Welcome to the School Photo Podcast, the show where we dive into the world of school photography, innovation, and the future of capturing school memories. With me, your host, Lee Brooker, and guests, in each episode we'll explore the latest trends, challenges, and breakthroughs in the school photo industry, with funny stories from our schools to best business practices and some new innovation to help us all. Whether you're a large multinational company, a sole photographer, or you're just passionate about the evolution of school photos, this podcast is for you. Grab a cuppa, settle in, and let's get started. This is the School Photo Podcast. Happy days. Welcome back to another episode of the School Photo Podcast, the place where we talk all things school photography, try and share a few laughs, and make sense of this wonderfully unpredictable business. Now, today's guest is an absolute legend in the school photo world. He's built businesses, he's run teams, and he's survived redundancy. Somehow, I think he's still got all his own hair, it looks like. He's the founder of Mo Photo. It's one of the biggest online communities for school photographers. He's an ambassador for Moving Memories, and he runs his own business, Hatchbox Photography, out of Cornwall. Ian's a man who's taken revenge is best served successful to a whole new level. From his early days in High Street Studio to helping one of the biggest school photography companies grow, and then going solo to build his own empire. Ian's done it all. He's been there. He's been around for years. We're going to be talking about secrets to winning schools, the importance of relationships, and how his Moving Memories innovation is changing the game for some school photos. So, if you're a photographer, business owner, or you just love a good underdog success story, stick around. This one's going to be a cracker. Let's go. So, welcome back to the next episode of the School Photo Podcast. Absolutely honoured today to be joined by Ian Hatch, Cornwall and Devon. Is it Cornwall or Devon, Ian?
It's just Cornwall.
Sorry about that. That was bad. Cornwall's finest. So Ian runs Hatchbox Photography, founder of Mo Photo on Facebook, and also ambassador. Is it ambassador of Moving Memories?
I have been. Well, yeah, I suppose you call that. I suppose you say that. Yeah.
So, yeah. Ian, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. As I say, we've already had a quick chat, but I'm again really delighted that you're doing these podcasts, Lee. And for a man who's already got a million things to do, to add this to your list, I'm proud that you've done it, and I think it's going to be great for anybody that is interested in our market, just to give us, it can be a bit lonely out there. So to have these things to remind you that you're sane and all the weird things going on.
Not alone.
Actually, other people have got the same things happening to them. So for that reason, I think this is a great idea, really. And I'm delighted you're doing it, and I'm delighted to be a guest.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, with part of the inspiration for putting this together has been the Facebook group that you've founded and created a couple of years ago. So we'll come on to that in a little bit later on. But Ian, take me back to the beginning. What's your story? What's the journey? Where did it begin, mate?
Well, the big question is why on earth did we get involved in this industry at any point, really? Well, it all started for me in 1990. I lived in Gloucester at the time, up in the Midlands. And again, when I left school, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I was totally unsure, really, of what my career path was. We didn't really have university ambitions then, people of my age. That was sort of came 2 or 3 years later that everybody wanted to go to uni. So I just fell into jobs and stuff like that. And eventually I found a job in Gloucester. It's a really long story before that. We won't go on about that, but literally found a job in Gloucester at a high street studio, photographers. And that company was called, ironically, The Photographer. So that was quite a nice name for a business in photography. That company had a handful of schools, a decent operation today, sort of 30, 40 schools, maybe a few more than that, small schools in the region. And I quickly realised that when I worked in the office as just a helper generally for the office-based stuff and studio stuff coming in, that the big part of the business really was the school work. And then, again, I like to think that I had a lot to do with it. I can't remember exactly how everything went, but we started to grow that business and started to, push up to, within 8 years, we had 1,500 schools at that business, which, even to this day is pretty incredible. But what that business did, it didn't really just do the same as everyone else. It found a niche, and the niche is what got the growth. And it was turning over 5 million in 1998, that business. And again, I don't know, we've probably spoken about this story many times, Lee, because we have been together quite often doing stuff. But the leavers in secondary schools, year 11s, it's quite popular now to do a year group of those children, 300, 250 in the year, and do individuals in the spring. So what was good about that is that was a quiet time of the year to the rest of the photography that you were doing. You go in the spring, do the group, do the individuals. And the thing that was slightly clever, really, now it sounds weird, but you have a group photograph like this, and on the end you'd have the individual pictures. So the individual and the group, called a dual mount, whatever, but that is literally what was easy to get bookings with. So you ring up a head of year 11, or you speak to somebody in the school that looked after the year 11, and even if they had other people doing their photography, we've got a leavers product that you can have in the spring. So there were lots of schools where they were using someone else in the autumn, but we were going over in the spring and just doing the leavers stuff, making money, and then quite often then taking the main business from the school in the autumn. A lot of it was revolved around high schools as we grew. So, in this day and age, and the way I feel about it, I think primary schools are more my bag. But at the time, we were growing through winning high schools. In 1990, 34 years ago, it was easier to speak to schools. It was easier to ring schools and speak to the teachers. Teachers weren't under as much pressure as they are now, and secretaries were a little bit easier to talk to. Yeah. So that business just grew very, very quickly. It grew to a certain size, and in 1998, unfortunately, that business went into receivership, more to do with how it was managed, which is great because I've seen a business fail, even though it was succeeding, if you like. And I then spoke to the receivers and helped that business sell on to potential parties. At the time, there weren't many companies could really afford it. I mean, there was loads of companies. I met lots of senior people from various companies, Gilman & Soames. I think Photec had gone by then anyway, but there were companies like Gilman & Soames. Glyn Bagley from Sherwood came down and had a look at all the stuff we had out there as well. So I started to meet lots of people that have been around the industry for a while. And obviously the main one was a large school photography company in the UK. So they came along and eventually they bought the business. And part of buying that business was, would you like to move to Cornwall? And I was 31 years old, I think at the time, 31. And I thought, I've got 2 young children. Let's go to Cornwall and retire to the seaside and, have a bit of fun. So I took the job with those guys, moved down to St Ives in Cornwall here. I set about merging that £5 million worth of business into Tempest's operation at the time, and spent the next sort of year and a half meeting all the staff, going around the country with the then sales director, and just, merging that business in and trying to show people why it was a good idea and all that sort of stuff. And that was really, really good, because on the road for, 5 to 6 weeks, meeting basically hundreds of small businesses.
Yeah, I bet.
That's all it was is lots and lots and lots of regional businesses all over the country, really, I suppose, where a photographer controls, a group of schools in that area. So that was a real grounding of knowledge and information about what the market was really at that time. That I was working for the largest company in the country. I got to do some amazing things. I took over the military section of Tempest at one time. I was looking after that before it moved to Sandhurst. Tempest bought a business that was based actually on the base at Sandhurst. It was a very crude move. I was involved in the graduation part of the business at times, yearbook studies, just dabbling in absolutely everything that the company was doing. Monopolies sounds wrong. Mergers as in acquisitions and things like that. I met lots of businesses that were interested in selling, some that did sell, and helping integrate some of those into the business as well. So I got a real feel when I worked for that company of that. And the business asked me if I would run a small sales team, so I set up a direct sales team as well. I had probably 6 or 7 people that their job was solely just to sell as well. But all the individual photographers around the country, that's their job as well, to sell, to go out there and try and win more accounts, basically.
In their regions, yeah?
Within their own patch. Yeah, their job was to increase the amount of work they get. But you know what it's like. Photographers are not always salespeople, and salespeople are not always photographers. So it's, even though one of the jobs was, you've got an area and you're the salesperson and you're the photographer, that doesn't suit a large number of people. It suits a small percentage of people. You're either good at one or good at the other. If you're good at both, that's amazing. There are some people like that, and they're really
very rare.
But usually it's, I'm a great photographer, or I'm a great salesperson, and the other one maybe I'm not so good at. But so there was many really, really positive things about what the company was doing there. But my personal what I got out of it was supporting outside staff, supporting people who are running businesses all over the various regions of the UK. It obviously then COVID comes along, and I'm a 54-year-old man, and I'm possibly, I mean, I was really pretty much sat there thinking I'm probably going to retire working for this company. And then all of a sudden you find out, I could still vividly remember being told that that's, I'm being made redundant. And it wasn't an easy thing to take. I took it really well because, that's the best way to cope with most situations is you have to accept it. There's no point in, dwelling on it really. So I accepted that the situation. But when you're 54 years old, you've got a mortgage, you're sort of thinking, hang on a minute, I've got to actually do something for a living. And, what am I going to do? I ironically took a bit of time because there was redundancy in there. So it wasn't great, but there was a bit of redundancy, which meant I didn't have to, panic or whatever. But I'd already had a slight connection when I say I've had a connection, when we took over some businesses with Tempest, one of the businesses we took over down in fact, I saw somebody that used to work for that company last week at one of the Got Photo road shows. One of the companies that Tempest took over was using Got Photo. And when I got to look at the back end of that system, and this was going back to 2017, I think, 2018 maybe, I was like, we should be looking at this company. We should have a look at what they're doing, because what they were offering and their solution, their web software solution, a workflow solution, for me looked very attractive, and they were doing some really clever things. And so when I was made redundant, weirdly, Got Photo reached out to me and said, would you like to help us and stuff like that? So I did take a part-time, you call it part-time, a freelance sort of job with those guys. But at the same time, as just before I'd started that, going and getting a bit of work with Got Photo and helping those guys out, because I believed in the system, I'd seen it operating, so I knew it was pretty useful. I set up the social media group because I was probably feeling a bit bitter about what had happened to me. And I had really good relationships with a lot of people across Tempest. And I had a lot of people emailing me and saying, I can't believe it, I'm really shocked that this has happened. And it's like, but, and which was really lovely. And I mean, I've still got some of those emails today that have said quite really heartfelt things. But obviously, at the end of the day, they can't change anything. And as much as they care, it's not going to give me any more money or anything. And I just sort of thought, well,
send you more to Barclays each month,
well, it doesn't. Yeah, they're going to say send me money. No, it's fine. But they were really lovely. Most people were so sweet. And I did go through the process of actually phoning quite a lot of people that I really do respect, and just saying, look, I didn't want it to happen, but it's happened, and basically whatever. And then from that, what's one conversation with the lady that used to work for Tempest said to me, look, there should be a place where we can talk about. And it was literally her idea. In fact, it was a lady in Essex, weirdly, Carla Wynn, who runs a company called something like that. We were having a conversation one time, and she said, "Oh, you should run a social media group, and I'll join, and we can talk about this and the other." And I thought, oh, that's actually quite a good idea. And like Lee Brooker does, whenever he has an idea, instead of thinking about it, he just does it. So I did the same thing. I just set up a Facebook group. She joined. That very same day, we were up to about 30 people that I knew.
Nice.
A lot of them previously from Tempest, not necessarily working with that company now, but had gone on to do other things, had started to join. And I'd started then connecting and saying, oh, I've got this little group now, and we're just going to talk a bit about, and you're still in the industry. If you are, then, join in.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, within weeks, we were up to, I was looking at other groups that were out there and thinking, I want to get as many people as that group's got. And before I knew it, I'd had more people in the group than any of the groups that are out there. And also one of the things I wanted to do from the outset with Mo Photos, the Facebook group, is to keep it a really positive space, because I'd gone through a bad experience. The people that I work with, the majority of them absolutely love those people. They are incredibly great people. And I don't have a problem with any of those people that still work there now and that are still really successful there now. I'm very proud that I know them ultimately, but I was very motivated to get people to join the group and to share the knowledge that I've had over the last 30 years with those guys. And the weird thing is, I'd never run my own business before, so I'd always worked for someone else at that point. I'm running a social media group. I'm saying, in theory, I know what, how it all works, but I've never really, walked the walk, as they say, really. So that year, 2021, when I was made redundant, I did a bit of work for Got Photo. I talked a good game, set up the social media group, tried to keep it really positive because I didn't want it to be negative. I wanted it to be all about helping the smaller operators, because it didn't matter if they were Tempest, they're all small regions, or whether it's, people who've got their own businesses. It's all about just getting better and better, and all the principles that you've talked about in the last couple of podcasts, really. And so then, so we did all of that. And then towards the end of that year, I thought, right, not that I'm bitter or anything, and I think you mentioned it in one of the podcasts the other day, but I did say that I'm revenge.
I didn't mention any names.
Success. Yeah, I know, but I knew as soon as he said that, I know he's read mine, but the best form of revenge is success. And I just thought, well, I wasn't actually that motivated about it either. I just thought, there's a school that I know I can get, and just taking that will make me feel a bit better. So I did that. That was in November. And that first school, as soon as the results came in, and there's another story connected to that as well. As soon as the results came in, I thought, I need to do this for a living. I need to actually get more of these, because then I don't have to worry about anything else. I can just have a school photography business that I ever imagined I would. But the motivation came from one school. And that school that I photographed in this area, in Cornwall, in Truro, I actually got 2 ex-Tempest photographers to come down and take those photos for me. 2 people that I was very fond of, 2 people that had left Tempest over the years that I still was connected to. And I said, look, if I get this job, would you mind coming down? And they came down. I did play them very well. We had a nice time. They stayed overnight. We just enjoyed the experience. And I just thought, I've got this for a living, really. And then going into the next year, I've only got one school, 2022. And that's also the year that I started to do the workshop, because I thought, even though I hadn't run my own business, I had lots of experience. I thought workshops, I could share this knowledge with anybody who's interested in it. And actually, some of the ladies, I had some of the gentlemen that had left Tempest and started their own business, saying, well, why don't you run some workshops? You can tell us a little bit about what your theory is and whatever. I mean, it doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about, but I think it was all about that sort of shared knowledge thing that literally was happening at the conference last week. These people wanted somewhere to go to talk about it. So all we did was facilitate that by setting up some workshops. And I remember asking you to come on, and you spent about 6 or 7 days with me on the road, or even longer than that on the road, really, going to those workshops. Yeah. And again, I needed someone like you, because I didn't want it to be me all day. I didn't want it to be boring for a start. And I thought you could, and you did. And then going into that year, I think we had Gary along as well. We also had Gary.
Gary was brilliant. It was fantastic.
So the 3 of us were more or less, I suppose, doing like mini conferences or mini kind of workshops. And it was all about how you can do it. You can do it. You can grow. You were growing your business at the time. You'd walk the walk, and you'd done it. You'd actually, you could say, I'd started and here I am now. I was saying, I've started, but I worked for a company before and they've been very successful, but I haven't actually done it myself, really, because I'd literally started. But lo and behold, by the end of that year, I'd got myself into a little bit of momentum, and I was up to sort of 20 odd schools and stuff by the end of the year. So I did prove to myself that I could do it, as well as talking to other people and saying, you can do it. I was doing it at the same time, and in the various different ways. So
I think those workshops, I don't have the same for you, but I think the workshops put a bit of positive pressure on both of us, because if we're going to stand there and try and stand and give advice and give support and encourage other people and say, listen, get on the phone, get out there, make it happen.
Without question, it's we met a lot of people. I met a lot of people at the time that had businesses for 15 years. They got 40 schools. They were earning a good living. They were really happy. And I thought, I'd love to be like that. I'd like to be like that one day. And then, to think that happened within 1.5 to 2 years at the most, in a short period of time, I'd grown a business in the same county as the largest school photography company in the country, the same town. I live in the same town as the largest school photography company in the country, and now we're doing a large number of schools, more so than they are in West Cornwall. So I'm pretty, like, the revenge part of that makes me very proud. You've still got
all your windows in your house, haven't you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Still the windows, no eggs?
No, they're big enough. They're big enough to not worry about me too much. They do worry about me, and I do annoy them, but ultimately, I'm not going to ruin their business nationally. I'm only on a local level to them. So I'm more of a thorn in their side down here, which is it's
part of the game, isn't it?
I'll go out. Well, we're all here to earn some money, and they're doing okay, thank you very much, wherever they are. So, and again, there are still some really, really lovely people, both in the town here in St Ives, but all over the country that work for them, and they are brilliant people. And really, Tempest has got a lot to thank for those people, not necessarily just the name Tempest, but the people that work for them. In most cases, what make them great in some of the areas of the UK, it really is the people. So anyway, yes.
Which is the same with all businesses, isn't it? And it's not a brand, it's not a logo, it's the people that are in there.
100%.
The people that are brought into the business and that grow up with the business and that really go above and beyond.
Yeah, totally. Again, as I grew my business, you know this as well. I literally don't want to do anything in my business. I'm not. I don't even do the photography. The only thing I do want to do is get the work, and then when I get the work, is find a simple way of of getting the work done. So I outsource a lot of things. I don't print my own stuff. We've had this argument before. Like, if you ever,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I don't think it's an argument, but yeah, it's not. We don't have
well,
the
it's a
same opinion
discussion.
on it, which is brilliant.
Yeah, if you say if you ever ask me to do my own printing, please shoot me because I'm not. I don't really want to go down that route. And there have been moments, trust me, over the last year when I've thought to myself, "Oh, I could get a printer and I could print that." And then I think, "Stop it! Will you stop doing that to yourself?" But there's loads of reasons why it's a good idea. There's loads of reasons why it's not a good idea, and you just choose what suits you. But outsourcing for me is perfect. That even goes down to photography. So the photographers that are working for me are freelance. They are the best people I could have asked for. They all happen to be people who used to work for someone else locally as well, as it happens. But again, I don't think in those people were perhaps treated as well as they could have been by that company either. Whereas my mantra, and I know yours is as well, and Lee, is the most important people are those people that are turning up, taking those photographs for you. They are
Yeah.
without doubt your advert for your companies. No one's
But
perfect.
also the others that are behind the scenes as well. The photographers
Yeah,
are
yeah,
absolutely important. But when where you mentioned about the printer side of things is, story. I started printing literally with a printer on my desk. I was doing it, all of it, you know,
yeah,
and I fully respect anyone going, I do not want to do that. But I have found is that if I have a printer and a great person, all of a sudden that's not my problem anymore. That is a huge asset.
yeah. But
Uh,
exactly, it's you're sort of outsourcing it as well, ultimately, aren't you?
yeah,
You've got
but just
someone
with
you
a
can.
little bit
Yeah,
more
that's
control and
that's
a bit
it.
more
Yeah,
facility.
totally. So in theory, that from your point of view as a business owner, that could be considered more profitable. It can certainly be considered the right thing to do if you've got someone you can trust ultimately. And I think that's the hardest thing in any business is finding
Yeah,
someone who will do things the way you want them done, who will do things. Even 80% of the way that you would do them, because you won't find anybody that will do it 95% or 100%, but you might find someone in the 80% region, and that's all you really need. You need someone,
yeah.
that will do it almost as well as you would do it, because otherwise you'll be looking forever and you won't find them. But I'm really
Well,
lucky. I've got,
a big part of my thing with recruiting is I want people that are better than I am. I want to be able to pull the
well,
strings, and I want
yeah,
people that my customer service girls in the office are far better than what I am.
yeah,
Um, Martin, our
that
sales guy,
well,
is way better than I am out on the road. So
that's true. I
recruiting
suppose
great people.
you're right. I mean, in my own mind, I want somebody who's 8% as good as me. But it doesn't mean to say I'm any good, really. It doesn't mean to say that they're 100%. I'm 80% of their 100%. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
as the owner, yeah, as the owner, that's what you want. You want people to be in your own image, ideally, as good as you. But actually, they are better at so many other things out there.
100%. That's so true. Is that recruiting people that have got great skills means that you don't have to be perfect at everything. Well, that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned over the last 6 years of from coming from previous life where boss is the know-all and not know-all. That boss is the one that
Yeah,
knows everything and wants to make sure that everything has to be up to their level across the
yeah,
board.
yeah.
Actually, there's no issue with people being better than what I am within their realms because together we then raise up.
You make a great team. Yeah, yeah,
I want photographers
exactly.
that schools say, "Oh, can I have so and so back rather than Lee this year?
Sure.
Please give me
Yeah, yeah,
all of them because that would be
yeah,
amazing."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's true. I
but
mean,
yeah, don't be fearful of people coming in because and being better because they're not going to steal your business from under you. They are going to
Totally. I mean,
just
they
enhance.
give you, if you look after them, that's the thing. You do have to look after them. If you make them feel part of the team, you look after them, you'd like to think they would stay. I mean, one of my photographers at the moment, Mez, is out in Australia
Yeah,
and
so
he's working for a company called Schoolpix. That connection, myself and Mez went to see, I know the lady Christine who runs the photography manager for Schoolpix. We met her at a session earlier in the year. Mez came along. We had a good chat. I've Zoomed with her a few times and talked to her. And in going many, 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 many years ago, she used to do the exchange visits because the company she worked for, she used to work for Master School Portraits, Nick Marlis's business, Photech, I suppose, as well.
okay.
They're originally Australian, so they used to come over and do the season over here and back. anyway, so the whole sort of conversation, she was like, "Oh yeah, we could take some photographers as long as they're experienced." And when I mentioned it to my team, one of my team was thinking about it. The other person said, "Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it." So they decided to go out there, and I just want him back. Really, I just want him to come back because
Come back and don't fall in love with Australia.
yeah, well, I'm really proud of Mez. He's having a great time. He's a lovely
You need
guy.
him to get
Everybody
bitten by
that
a little spider. Just send him
well, let's
home,
hope. Yeah, yeah.
just
Well, let's
gently.
hope not. But he's the sort of guy that I don't want to lose him because he's what I need. He's so reliable. He's consistent, and he's a great person. He makes a great part of our other photographers we've got. And but it's great to be able to give that back because I mean, Mez wants to be a full-time photographer. He wants to photograph all year round. I can't do that with my business because my business is seasonal. But he now has got another 2 to 3 months per year that he can do. If it works for him, he'll go back again next year. Hopefully, as long as he doesn't stay there, we're going to be all right. Really, this
That's have a visa
right.
that expires.
Yeah, well, that's right. I have to find a way to stop him from going. I don't know, but that's what's clever about things that you've done as well. You've tried really hard to spread your work out through the year and come up with new suggestions. I remember when we were doing the workshops and things you spoke about portrait truck, and you've got some really great little things or great big things that you've been doing to to enhance your business. And we should be interviewing you as well, really, Lee, because your
Nah,
business
you feel free to ask anything you want.
grown. Well, there you go. Your business has grown so well and so quickly over, again, a relatively short period of time. You've grown
Six
quite a
years.
decent happy days empire, to be honest with you, haven't you?
We're getting there. We're getting there. And as I said a moment ago, a big part of that has been me getting out of the way of it as much as driving it. Because I'm well aware that I can be a bottleneck within the situation as well. And someone funny story. We was at the conference, and Neil Sweeney, who's now part of Carmel Jane, he was doing a talk
Yeah,
on
yeah.
his EOS software, or his EOS system, not software, sorry. Um, and one of the things he said is that sometimes management bosses are sometimes described as being a seagull, in that they'll just come back into the office, fly over the top, shit everywhere, turn around, fly out again. And
Move, yeah.
that resonated with me. Like, I'm fully coming in, idea, we're going to do this, we're going to do a podcast, we're going to do that, we're going to do an app for schools, all this other stuff that I'm coming up with. And I think the guys in the office are like, let him have a moment, he's at it again. But we're going to buy a new truck. The truck's broken.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a big sigh of relief when the truck didn't get through the MOT, and it was parked outside the office, so there was not enough parking for all the girls to park. So they got the ump about it. They're like, when did Scrap Man come in to get that truck? I was like, hang on a minute. Their faces when I explained that I've gone down to London and brought another one was it was more
Oh, well done,
despair, I
Lee.
think, than anything. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah,
"Ugh." But I've absolutely got full faith that it's going to be great for the business, and it's going to secure all jobs,
yeah,
and it's going to keep us.
yeah.
It's just another
Again,
cog in the wheel.
on that subject of the conference last week, I mean, Mofoto in its own right, the social media group for Facebook, that 100% was really about creating a community that you could support everybody with, and the extension of that. And I am so glad it started to happen. I mean, I was never going to be me that could run a UK conference or anything like that. Although I do go out to SPAC every year, and I do represent the UK, or try to represent the UK over there, and try and get a talk as I did again this year. But the whole thing is I've wanted with a passion to get something like what happened last week going, and I feel such a shame that I didn't make it because I really did want to be there. I was too
I think
busy.
there'll be more.
Yes.
I think there'll be more. You too busy playing poker,
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
I was playing poker. That is the problem. But
Tell us about
I did.
SPAC.
Sorry again.
Tell me about SPAC. How was SPAC?
Well, again, it was
What
great.
are we missing?
A couple of guys from Nottingham had come out there. In fact, you mentioned something yesterday, and I've got to put you right on that in Andy Malloy's session. And well, it was you and Andy. You weren't sure who invented the vistas that
Yes.
go to. It was actually David Douglas from Corpus School, and he's the one that went to SPAC last in
Was
January.
it?
So it's a
Well,
Northern
now I
Ireland,
know.
because that Tempest adopted it as well, but the originated over in Northern Ireland. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure of that. Now, if anybody thinks that that's wrong, if they could let me know. But
Yeah.
I spent some time with David out in not a great deal of time, but a little bit of time, and had a few beers with the guys from Nottingham that were out there. But the thing about the SPAC event is it's not really a UK event, so you get overwhelmed with some of the markets they have in America that we don't have over here. So I know that, and I respect that, and I know that the sports photography is amazing out there. the money that you can get for your 16, 17-year-olds out there, you couldn't get in this country ever. Children graduating at 16, 17, and the importance that's put on that, not just from school photography, but also on studio photography that's linked to it, and the money you
They're
can.
seniors.
The seniors, yeah. I mean, they call their underclass. That's the underclass is primary school age as the poor relation to the seniors. So they're making their money in the 16, 17-year-old range and sports, and down at the primary age, they're still making money. Some of them are very clever. They're making money and they're just concentrating on that niche. But there is a whole sort of wealth of opportunity to make more money at the older age range as well. So that opens up the market even further. I mean, from SPAC's the point of view of SPAC, it's a great event. There was 1,300 people there this time. They have a great exhibition hall. They always have lots of the key players, Evoto, Skylab, that are doing some good stuff. They have all sorts of players there. I mean, a lot of it is very American centric. If you don't live in America, some of the workflow solutions won't work for you. I mean, they've got Photo Day, and Captura has just been it's just been rebranded. It was Photo Merchant. It was Australian. So you have all of these businesses that are offering similar solutions. To say, got PhotoNet Life, those kind of things that we've got over here. We don't have enough of those over here. That there's not enough competition, but it's so great that we do have that over here. But yeah, going back to SPAC, I mean, they were talking about AI, and you talked about at the conference last week, ChatGTP, and making great use of it. And AI is going to improve things for that moment between upload and taking images from the camera and upload. Trying to improve that section is
Workflow.
Everybody's big challenge. Everybody's challenge. I mean, I'm tight as well, so I don't want to pay for anything, but also I want it to be done as quickly as possible, because if you have to look at it from a human point of view, it takes a lot of time. So let's try to work out, if you can find, because they can do it. These things can do it now. You can train a system. You just put 3 or 4 schools through there, and it will machine learn. It will machine learn.
Yeah,
so
it does.
Eventually, again, I haven't got any of these systems yet. I used Skylab a little bit last year. I was trying to think. There's somebody been talking to me excessively about Aftershoot, but I'm still not committed to anybody specifically yet. But I need to do that. I want to be able to come back, get my images, push it through a system, and then it automates that process so as I can upload it. At the moment, that's still very manual for me, and it's for a lot of the smaller operators out there, really. So
yeah, very much. I think the beauty is you can trial softwares, can't you? You don't have to. You can. You're not committed to one specific one. It's not a jump in and all of a sudden that's where you are.
It's true. It's true.
Back in the day, if you start buying a fleet of Canon cameras and lenses, you've got to stick with that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Whereas the software side of things is now a lot more flexible. There's a lot more opportunity for you to trial something, put a few jobs through it, see how you get on. I mean, you're probably going to have to pay to get the best, but
printing out little cards with images on and stuff like that, and that's not a problem, but it's not the wave of the way things are, and the majority, really up in the high 90%, has got to be producing offering online ordering only. Exactly the way it's gone over in Scandinavia.
Well, I know of a lady that is still purely cash based. I think she's got 25 schools or so.
Yeah.
And she is old school. She's got
Managing
her schools. Yeah. She's the photographer. She's the face of it. They are not moving. If you or I went in there, whatever fancy orders we had, they're going, go away. We use so and so. And she works for 5 months of the year and spends the rest of the cash on holidays.
Happy days. Yeah, literally.
Happy days. There we go. So she absolutely loves it. But
it's going to be hard to change someone like that. I was going to say the market one day that's going to change. That will change one day, and the moment it changes, her business is going to, unless she's adapted or ready for adaptation, it's going to be a problem for her. But until that time, she's probably happy. And I would never, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I just say, you can see it happening all over the world. The American market now, previously there's been a lot of prepay. There's a lot less of that now. Speculation is now becoming the growth area. And again, in Australia, that's going to happen. That the growth is going to be prepay, a lot of it as well. But the bigger companies are still hanging on to prepay, but some of the smaller operators and the ones connected to NetLife are really pushing. The Amazon sort of let's order it and get it the next day kind of type thing. And that's the way I think everything does need to go. batch ordering is something that the UK still does. I don't know. There are advantages and disadvantages to doing that. I still love doing a batch because you can suggest that you're offering better value, and you could suggest that you're, depends how you sell it to your clients ultimately. But there's
That's
also
exactly it.
something to be said for, let's put it online, put the prices up and say your delivery's free. Because if you do it that way, then it is becoming more of an Amazon style kind of, so this is why
You just
you've got
become a
to,
drop
things
shipper in
like,
that situation, don't you? You just drop
yeah, well,
shipping every day,
yeah,
every day.
and the things that was talked about at the meeting last week at the conference, and talked about in America, and talked about at the road shows. I've been at one of the road shows last week. It's the same thing. It's, you have to think about how the market would change. It was great to hear what Harry had said, and I do agree with this, is school photography is a tradition. And whilst it's a tradition, I think we're in a lucky space, because it means we should, the market should stay alive, even though people have got
Be
mobile phones.
resilient.
Profit, that part of the discussion I think is so true. That's why you have to almost create tradition to, a bit like the stuff that the Photographer Limited did in Gloucester in 1990, when we started to do levers for year 11s. They're still doing that now, and a lot of senior schools have a year 11 group and an individual at the same time, 2 or 3 months before they leave school. That's become a tradition. Yearbooks is a very American thing here, but it's never really established itself as a must-have tradition in a school. If it had, then we'd all be doing it, or we'd all be getting involved in it, really. And it's creating that tradition. The primary school leavers now there's quite a tradition around that. I mean, even though it's not necessarily, proms isn't something I absolutely love doing. Kids are having proms, and they're buying lots of things, and leavers hoodies. That's one thing that is, almost every single kid in the UK will have a leavers hoodie in a primary school now. So it's just being aware of these things and seeing how you can make money out of it, hopefully from a photography point of view. Really,
I think with the year 11 stuff, I think the year 11s is a difficult tradition to keep going when parents aren't that into buying it.
Yeah.
I think that's the real tough one for any of us, to continue with the year 11 leavers and the individuals. I know that if we do it, we always try and do a friendship poster at the same time, so that kids can have something that they are interested in.
The kids to want it. You need the kid to want it, because without the kid wanting it, mum doesn't always, or dad doesn't
They've got
always
enough
want
things that the
it.
kid does want, though they're draining them to dad's.
Yeah. Yes, that's so true. That's so true. So this is the different thing, because in the States, they want it. They want the sports photo. They want the banners that's got their big picture of them on it. And and Chris Garcia, the guy out there that I was helping with his presentation, they're doing banners with moving images on it now, and all that sort of stuff. So it's finding that little niche and finding the thing that can help you to get a tradition going, or to keep a tradition going, or to keep your photos relevant, or keep your photos something that people actually want. We are lucky, because annual pictures in the autumn term, most people, that's something they expect. And in most cases, still today, every time you look at the sales, they're still tracking in a very similar way. Sometimes they're up a little bit, down a little bit, but they're pretty close. You can normally,
very consistent.
sure, you can do this. Somebody tells you how many schools they've got, you can work out roughly what their gross turnover is, like that. Yeah. I mean, I can do it. I mean, somebody tells me, and you can do it, because you have an average, you know what it's going to be. And sometimes it's a bit more than that. You think, well, they're doing something right. They're either their photography is great or whatever. But most of the time it's in this range, and if you've got 40 schools, you're going to be turning over.
The only real variants are the prices that people are charging. But you could certainly, I'll often quite often look at things and say, actually, if I would have plugged that business into my model, or plug my model into that business, where does it sit? Where does it put us? That's something that I'm always looking at for the future. I'm looking at opportunities to start bringing other companies into our mix.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
When that was something I wanted to ask you about, actually. Previously, when companies are being valued, I've had the conversation with a few people away.
Yeah.
Is there any industry? Obviously, you was involved with the biggest around and stuff. I'm not asking about their exact system, but what's a typical way that a school photography business is valued? Is it based on heads? Is it based on turnover?
It's based on vulnerability a lot of the time, because when someone approaches you and they want to sell their business, for a start off, it's about how much you can, depending on who you are, how much you can get away with is the wrong word, really. It's how you can value that business. And this is what, for me, I'm going to sell my business in, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, maybe 10 years, I don't know. as long as I'm enjoying it, it'll keep going and whatever. But I want to sell my business as an ongoing concern that doesn't involve me. Now, because I'm not photographing, that does actually make my business a more saleable business. It comes with, in theory, I may sell it to my photographers. This is the whole thing. It might be my freelance photographers that take it on, whatever. But to have if you're in it and you're photographing it, I'm in my business, it's going to be hard to sell with you in it if you're the owner. However, but going back to actually pricing these things up it's really difficult, because profit, depends what your profit margins are at the moment, but any business that is selling, then it's hard to value, because you've got so many variables that would lead you down certain paths. But for a start off, if I'm selling my business, I want to make sure that I'm getting, 4 or 5 years worth of margin straight away, out of my business. So that's going to push me up to maybe the gross turnover for the year, really. That's what I want. I want to sell it at that. But what happens quite a lot of the time with some of these transactions is you're not going to get that money up front from anybody.
No, of course not. Yeah, it's going to be a vendor finance.
In most cases, you get a percentage of what the agreed price is up front, a percentage, and then the rest of it is on completion of maybe 1, sometimes 2 years worth of photography, just in case you get fall off, or you get people that leave, or, some of your people that are, were going to be in the business then go off and take some of it with them. So, as a business buying a business, you'd have to have some sort of security for longevity, because at the end of the day, it's goodwill you're buying. You're not buying any contract bookings, you're buying goodwill. So there's a lot of risk from the buyer's point of view. And again, from a seller's point of view, that would suit me, because I'd be able to work in the business and just try and keep the continuation. So yeah, again, whoever's buying it, it just depends on many factors. One, can they afford it, and how vulnerable is the person who wants to buy? Do they need the money? This is why if you are selling it, you probably need a bit of a lead time into doing it.
Yeah, it needs to be structured and planned, and I think that's the big part of our industry is that we don't have contracts, we don't have formal agreements, and I think probably anyone that's trying to enforce that, there's plenty of other companies knocking it out of the water saying, why would you sign up?
You're vulnerable as a business owner in this industry. You really are vulnerable, because it can be all taken away from you. And I worry about it. I've said to my wife on a number of occasions, that here we are in January, February. I've got all my bookings in the diary, which is incredible. Everybody's got their dates. And I'm like, yeah, but what if none of them, what if all of those bookings are made, they don't want any of those photographs and they cancel me? It's like they won't have a business. That isn't going to happen, but you can't stop your inner self from telling you that you're vulnerable, because you are. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, they're all goodwill, and somebody could come along with as they have done, with, I will give you, 50% commission or something really stupid that you think is too good to be true, but they will turn the heads of some of your bookings, no matter what they say. So I know in real terms, my bookings I feel are safe, but they're never truly 100% safe.
Yeah, no, and a lot of it all comes down to that service, and it all comes down to that relationship.
Again, it was touched on. I can't remember if it was Andy or it was Harry. I watched them both. One of them, the word comes up time and time again: trust, relationship. To get the work, you have to be trusted. Once you've got the work, you have to build that relationship, because then it becomes harder for the client to leave you. This is why, again, going back to the biggest companies in the world, not just in the UK, but also over in America, as soon as you stop trusting your photographers or believing your photographers or really investing in your photographers, and they don't feel as if they're a huge part of the team, that's when it all falls apart, because you need your people in the field to work in the way that means that these people want to stay with you. The trust and the relationship things is really huge, really huge.
I think was it Richard Branson that said in your people so that they're good enough to leave, but treat them well enough that they never want to.
There you go. That's the one.
I'm pretty certain it was him that said that. Yeah, it's me quoting posh quotes on a podcast.
Well, whoever said it, you're right, and it was you done even better.
But yeah, it is getting the team looked after and brought into the vision and understanding the purpose seems to be absolutely crucial. Yeah. Because if they're on board with it and they understand it and they understand why we are really up against it this month, this term, whatever, but it will come good. Everyone digs in and it becomes a team effort, and everyone goes, yeah, well, we're in for it. We're 3-0 down, but we'll make it work.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, I suppose, one thing we haven't touched on really was I've started to create a bit of a niche really, which I'm trying to create. I was going to talk about moving memories very, very briefly, but
Yeah,
that,
please do. It's relevant.
yeah, I mean, that's sort of that came out, that was born, I suppose, if you, again, going back 7 or 8 years before, when I was with Tempest at 2016, 2017. At the time, I was trying to work out personally how to take a group photograph that we were doing all the time, say 500 people, 300 people, when you're only getting 20% of those people buying, so 50 or 60 people would buy out of a group of 500. It was always felt really, it's really annoying. I mean, I get annoyed now when I look at my potential buyers list and think those are all potential buyers. They need to be buyers, not potential buyers. But if you've taken one photograph of 500 people and you've got 60 people buying, why aren't the rest of them buying? And how can you change that? And going back to that time when I worked for the company, I tried really hard. And actually, if you look on Tempest YouTube site, you'll see we started to take videos of children doing various things, waving and go past the camera, and just try to get something that we can connect to that photo. Now, at that time, my idea, which no one was interested in because the company was very happy, thank you very much, with its current status and didn't want to change anything, and that's fine, was to link those videos, or try and link a video to the photograph. So ultimately, you wanted the picture, you needed the print, and you wanted the print. So it was a bit of a half-hearted version because we ended up sticking it on YouTube, and then you look at some of those hits, they've got thousands and thousands and thousands of hits. Yeah. But it's not linked to the photo, so it didn't sell any more pictures. And my plan was, ultimately my plan at the time, I was saying, look, can we find a way in which you have to buy the photo to get to get that video? And, again, I forgot about that. And when I was made redundant, of course, part of my thought process was I'm going to go out there with my amazing personality and win schools. And it proved that I proved that I could do that, and I didn't need anything. But going into, after we did the first set of workshops in 2022, I started talking to this company who already had an augmented reality solution. A guy called John Horton and Stephen from Class Photo was the business name at the time. Anyway, not long after that, I was saying, look, what you've got, I want to use it. I want to try it. So, but also part of me was, do I really want the hassle? A simple guy. I just like, well, this is great. You go in the autumn, you take all the photographs, get loads of money. You have some time off, you go back into the summer, you do some classes. They don't make as much money, but you make a little bit that covers your costs, and then you get to the autumn again when you get some money. You know what I mean? So that's the cycle of the school photography industry in the UK, really. But what I was thinking of is I can go out and I can win accounts. I was confident, and I did do that, and I didn't need to talk about anything else. But when I met the guys, I remember it was the Society's convention. I think it might have been 2022. So just before we went on the road with the workshops with you, they said, look, we've got this solution. And I said, well, the only way I could really use it, if it really took off, I need a web service. So I need to be able to get a QR code that I can give to a client. That means they can go to their photograph and play a video. And that video is not anywhere else. That video is only connected to that product, that print, that wall art, that whatever it is that you sell. And they said, well, look, if you tell us what the workflow is, we'll try and make the web service. So literally that very first year, the second year, my first school was in the autumn before. So the second year I tried it out with one school because I thought, I don't want to go over the top in case I can't cope or it doesn't work or anything. I tried it out with one school, and it was brilliant because the sales, I tried to do it in the summer. So I didn't want to change what I do in September, October, November. I wanted to make the summer where I normally do class photographs. And again, thankfully I had experience because I knew what it was like. I've worked for that company for many years, but it was my own business now. And I thought, well, I know I'm going to get around about £400 worth of orders from these class photographs. If I can get £800 worth of orders, from the same day, we'll be living the dream in theory. And we're only talking small numbers at the moment. So the first job we did, when we did the levers photograph, we took a video at the end. And last year, or the year before, the first time we'd done it, rather, instead of sort of 8 people out of 25 buying the picture, we had 26 people out of 25 buying the picture. So somebody else was buying it who wasn't even in the picture. Do you know what I mean? So you start to say, hang on, we've hit on something here. We've got something here. And because, I like to think on my feet, really, we started saying, okay, we'll make the levers video. We'll put the class teacher on the end saying something nice. They really want that because they don't know the teacher very well always. And, to have the teacher speak at the end, it'll be really nice for the kids. And what is great is then we also started doing individuals where we get them to talk as well. So the great thing about that is we've already photographed them in the autumn term and got some money out of them in theory. In theory, they spent £28 average order value in the autumn. Here we are in the summer. We've done the classes. We're also doing the individuals again because they're going to leave and go to the high school. And we're not going to take the pictures when they get there because they only do primary school. So I've got a chance to make a few quid at that time. So we take the 30 children in the leavers. I do a lot of marketing, by the way. I've got videos that on YouTube as well that I send out to the school and say, we're coming along, get the kids to practice something in the lesson. I've got a lesson plan I send to the school. The first time you write it, it's easy, and then you can adjust it. And then I've just kept the same emails that I send to everybody. So it just says, here's some things the children can say. Have a lesson where they write out their name, what year it is, what their goal is, what they want to do in the future. And, have a lesson. The teachers appreciate that because it's another lesson that they can do with their kids. And then when we come on photo day, we'll take you over here. We'll photograph you. You'll say something to camera. Parents buy you pictures. And there's been several ways I've done it. I've done some of them where you spend £35, you get the QR code. And if you buy a group and an individual, we'll give you a QR code for that. Because if they're buying both the group and the individual, again, normally they only buy the group. Now they're buying all the groups, but we're also getting people buying individuals as well. So I didn't feel as if I could put a threshold on it because ultimately I just want them to spend again. First year I tested it out, it again, going from say £400 worth of gross sales to £700, £800, £900 in some cases, almost double. It was worth it as far as I could see. The next year, 2023, we did every single school we had, every single school. Then 2024 decided to this last year that's just gone last summer. Decided to do the reception and the leavers and reception. So the leavers still get that. They get away with the camera, go past, then the class teacher says something at the end. Nice video. Every child gets the same QR code, so it only doesn't cost anything because you're just giving one QR code for the whole of the group. And if there's 30 kids in it, that's one QR code for 30 people. You can send them the QR code, but they can't do anything with it unless they can find the photo. So they need the picture, basically. They need the photo to actually play the video. It's not online. You just need a QR code. You scan the QR code. It won't work unless you hold it over the photo that's meant to be held over. So that was quite clever. So going forward, like 2024, I said, right, we're going to do reception as well now. So every school we go to where we do reception photo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Year 6 and reception are going to get something special. They get a video. So the reception kids, what we're going to do is going to ask the class teacher to sing a song with you, practice a song for 10, 15 seconds. Doesn't have to be long. With the YouTube, TikTok generation, there doesn't need to be, these videos don't need to be long, really. But we'll sing, I don't know, chick, 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 chicken, or whatever, lay a leg for me. And imagine your cute 5-year-old with his classmates singing something to camera. Often it's spontaneous, often it's not very good, often it's out of tune, but it's special, and the kids wave at the end, and something real. But that is what makes the photograph worth the money. Almost more than the picture, but it certainly enhances the value of the picture ultimately, because at any time they've got it up on the wall at home, they can hold their camera over it and it will play that video that was taken at the time. Again, it doesn't have to be the video that's taken at the same time, but just from my point of view, it's simple. When we take the classes, at the end we do a video, do it on the same camera, just switch it to video. It's all sequentially in the same order as well. I don't do it for the middle years because then it's not special, because we've created a niche. We then do the leavers. So every year we go back, we're going to do moving memories for reception and moving memories for the leavers. So I'm trying to create that tradition. So every time somebody wants a class photo, they know they're going to get those two things. I have had some kids come up to me and say, the year 5 kids saying, oh, you're going to do moving memories next year? It's like, yeah. When you get to the leavers, you get it as well. So kids talk, kids got brothers and sisters. Once you've had it, share it with others. And I would say that's one thing that's given me amazing retention is when they've had it, it's another thing that they think, oh, well, if we don't have those guys, I don't think we can have that. Do you know what I mean? So, because no one else down here necessarily is doing it. I'm sure they'll try eventually or whatever. But yeah, it's basically for me.
Did they increase your reception sales for groups?
Yeah, well, the same thing happens with the reception class. I mean, you're talking normally any class you would do Lee, you can guarantee if you've got 25 kids, you're probably going to sell 10, 8.
Yeah, 12 maybe, depends. We do.
Well, maybe half. You never get anywhere near the sort of numbers I've been getting since I've been doing moving memories. We don't get that sort of those orders. You don't get them. And all you're doing is a 10-second video at the end that you're getting a QR code for and giving it to the parent. I don't put it on the print. I just email it to them and say, here's a QR code, scan that, and then hold it over your photo. It's simple. Again, I'm lazy, so I don't do any of the other things. And I suppose the lead on for that. So it sort of evolved from levers, photograph, waving at the camera with the year 6 teacher saying something, reception, singing a song, and at the end, I often just put the name of the school coming up on the video, and individuals for the levers. But this year, hoodies as well. So this thing on here, this comes to life now. So you hold your phone over that and it waves the video. So the concept for this year is that I'll be offering levers hoodies to my schools, and if they buy the hoodies, then we'll let them have a video link to the hoodie itself. And if it's photograph day, that's even better, because I'm linking my portrait photography and my group photography and my video that I've taken on the day to the hoodies that they buy. Again, it's something in theory when they stop wearing the hoodies that mum can still put in the drawer, hold a phone over it and say, oh, look, there's the guys, the little cute video of the guys. Really.
Yeah,
so
aren't they lovely?
That's where we're trying to, that's where I'm thinking of putting some of my efforts this year is in that. But at the moment, it's just growing the business, continuing to offer moving memories to get noticed, because one thing's for sure, you walk into a reception and you show them some of these things.
Yeah, can't ignore it, can they?
It's that all of a sudden you go up in their trust estimations. They sort of think, oh, these guys know what they're doing. And whenever they say to me, Lee, how does it work? I always say, I don't know, but isn't it great? Because I don't really know how it works. It does work. You upload an image, you upload a video, you get a QR code, you give that to your school, and they give that to the parents when they can use the system and they can see the video. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I mean,
yeah, I like it.
My growth, my 60+ schools is not 100% down to my personality, but I'd like to have thought it was just me. It's me and some of these little things that we're starting to do, really. But it's great to think that Cornwall is the first place in the country that's had some mixed reality, as they're calling it, because in California they're having it now quite a lot on sports banners and things like that. But really, it started here in this corner of England, and it started in the same county as the largest school photography company in the country.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm pretty proud that we did that. To be fair,
Brilliant. What's the future then, Ian? What's the plans? What's the long-term plan?
Well, like I said, I'm an old man. I was an old man when I started this business. For 54 years old,
Been an old man 30
years ago. Well, there you go. I've been. So, what the plan is really, I've never enjoyed it so much as I have running my own business. So that has been great. And when you're in it and you're going to a school tomorrow and you're turning up, and I kind of love it. I think you have to be a certain type of person in this industry, and I think most people I've met are that kind of person. And, you can't beat it. The sales keep coming in while the market's still buoyant. The future for me is just to carry on doing this, and maybe.
Do you still go to every school, even though you're not photographing? Do you still go where you?
I have been when I was, this year going into the schools that we've got. Now I always trusted my photographers. Don't get me saying things like that on live.
That's not what it's meant. We understand.
I do trust them. I really trust them, but I like being there. One of the reasons why I like being there is because I like to go into the staff room and I talk to people, and actually you can win more schools by being there than you can being at home. So if I'm not photographing and I'm not busy and I'm not got schools backed up or anything like that, I will go. I like to go to make sure that, hi, we're here. I often take biscuits in as well, get to the staff room, and I've had so many conversations with head teachers and deputy heads that, that's worth more than
to something else.
Yeah, really, I can go out, as I do go out, calling around schools and dropping stuff off and explaining to them, but you can't beat standing in a reception, standing in reception, talking to head and going, look, have you seen this? We do this at your school. Did you know? And those sort of things. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's
once you get past the door, once you get past that first reception door, there's so much opportunity within every school and staff rooms specifically.
I'm telling you now, Lee, as well, something else that I did last year, more for the first time, and I'm going to be doing it as soon as we start. We've got some photos next month. We start really. We're doing discount for all of the teachers. Okay. Discount for your kids' photos. But even if the kid goes to a different school, that's what I love. That's what I absolutely love, because there are so many teachers that have got children at a different school to the one you're photographing in. So if I say to them, which I have been doing, so have you got any children come to school? No, mine go to a different one. Here's a discount code. If we took the photos at your school, you can have a discount. I've had a couple of really successful things come from that. A couple of the teachers have got children at the same school. Next minute, that school, for some reason, seems to be interested in maybe using us. And, it's the whole kind of referrals.
Yeah. Building that network,
testimonials,
building the trust.
amplifying people saying, "Oh, these guys are doing a good job." And yeah, I don't know if you'd seen talking about going back to SPAC very briefly. I always take away some ideas. I've taken away some ideas this year from a lady called Alana from Alabama. She had a session. We had a table session. We were chatting around, and I thought, this day one, I've already got what I'm doing this year. Write it down and stuff. I took away, not this year but the last year, I took away the banners idea. So I've got banners like this that we take to our portrait jobs, and it literally says the name of the photographer on it, and it says again, when you were talking to Andy yesterday, I was thinking, we do that in slightly different ways. I'm trying to make the children feel a bit more comfortable during photography. The banners say, "Hi, I'm Mez. I like unicorns." And if you look at Mez, you think he doesn't like unicorns, but that's what he said when I asked him. So on his banner, it says, "Hi, I'm Mez. I like unicorns. I like cats and dogs." Which wouldn't you like, cats or dogs? And then Mez said dogs, and that simple thing. I had schools come up to me and some of the teachers just last year say to me, "That is so lovely," because some of the kids have got anxiety and, they feel really anxious about school photo day. And, when they come in and they can see that this human being likes cats, has got a choice of cats and dogs, and I often come in and see the teachers running through the list and saying, "Which one do you like, ladies?" And, kids, girls and boys.
Yeah,
and
which
all
favourite?
that.
Yeah.
And that for me was a very, very simple thing, but it's a very effective thing for making the children feel a little bit more relaxed than they otherwise would be. It's still not going to stop you from having the occasional quite difficult situation.
No, but it does help. It does create something.
But it gets you much closer to having the majority of the kids feel a bit more relaxed about you. And that's something I'm really proud of, that, because each one of the photographers got their own banners, and each year we're going to try and refresh it with some new questions and things like that. So, and they're really, it's a really cheap idea,
Yeah, 40 quid a banner, and off you go. We use banners, but to tell the children what to expect. It's not quite so it's personalised, but it's a 3 poses, and it says what are you going to choose at the end.
That's a great idea. Yeah, to relax your children as they're coming in. Yeah, I released a video.
Barrier.
Yeah, I released a video last year as well that I sent to every school before photo day, and just say, "Here's a video. You can share it in class." What I loved, again, I've been in the school or I've gone to get a class to help the photographer, open the door, and they're playing my video on photo day, and it's like, that is marketing for you right there. And the same thing's happened with Moving Memories. Is I'll send a video off to say, this is how what we want to do on Moving Memories Day, and you open the classroom door and they're playing it up on the screen, and you think, yes, the marketing's being done by the teachers for you there, because they're you're really getting inside the kids' heads. But making the children feel relaxed is how you get the best out of them, and all those ideas and some of the things that Andy Malloy does is make you laugh, really, but they do work.
Yeah, well, one of our guys, he's got a teddy monkey, sits a monkey on his head, and he literally walks around the whole day. On monkey on his head, speaks to the head teacher, speaks to the nursery children, and everyone calls him. He's like, "Yeah, this is Mr. Bananas." And they're like, "What? What's he doing on your head? He lives there. That's where he lives. He just gets on with it."
Brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Nice one.
So,
yeah.
Final question then, Ian. I know we're pushed on time in a minute today. So
that's all right.
Tell me what you'd love to see happen in this industry, in the school photography industry.
Well, I just want to get loads more schools. I want what I really want is a lot of the smaller operators out there, just to do better, just give themselves a better earning potential, more income. The photography conference for me is the thing. I actually really, really, really still annoys me that I couldn't make it, because I would have absolutely loved to be there, because I know that going back 25 years ago, we used to have a school photography conference, the PSPA, but it was very much set up for the elite, the top echelons of, school photography in the UK. But the best ideas are coming from the people, that are on the way up. And those are the people you need to listen to. Even the big boys need to listen to those guys, because, to remain relevant. And, the same thing's happening in the US, to be honest with you. There's the larger companies are, you're finding the smaller companies are really putting the pressure on. Those large companies, it's like, and they're not quite sure how to react to it, really. And for me, that's what I'd like to see. I'd just like to see more of what's going on in Mo Photo, just people sharing ideas, feeling more confident, helping each other, and just enjoying it. I mean, enjoy what you do. It's a really lovely industry for so many different reasons, and you can make money out of it. You don't have to be huge. Again, spoke to people last week. They've got to a threshold where they're really happy at this level and they don't want to go anymore. That's fine too. But you can do some other things within your business to either, if you want to, increase your profits, or to change the way you work to make your life easier. So anything that helps these people out then I'm all for it. I mean, you said it yourself many times. I mean, you've been incredible in terms of how you've been prepared to help people. You open up your phone lines. I know you speak to lots and lots of people that need a bit of help, and you've helped lots
Yeah, I
and lots
love it
of
though.
people
I
along the
do. I
way.
love it. And I enjoy.
Yeah,
I'm never going to pretend to have all the answers, but what I do know is that I've proven to myself a few times that some silly ideas that can
you
work.
do it.
There's a lot that
You,
don't.
yeah,
There's a lot that don't. They won't meet the light of day. But there's an awful lot of stuff that people can try. And for me, with the Got Photo system that I've used since the day I walked out of the previous role, that Got Photo set me up. We got it set up and running. I was ready to trade
yeah,
within 36 hours
yeah.
of
Well,
saying
yeah,
this is what I need
yeah.
to do.
That's literally it. You can. I mean, again, I'm lazy. I haven't even got a website. Really annoying, actually. I was thinking about this the other day. Maybe I should get a website. I've used everything that's been available to me that's free, including, you were talking about winning business as well the other day, and you mentioned emails and stuff. Emails are free. I use them. It's like throwing mud at the wall. You're not going to get to many people, but I still like doing regular emails. And why I like to do that is because when I call into the school and say, it's me, do you still get emails from me? I know they're really annoying. I just keep firing them out, and I apologize for that, but I'm just here to say that, is it okay to carry on sending them? Do you know what I mean? They don't always read them, but you can guarantee that some do. Some do read them.
Remember it. Yeah.
It's one of those touch points. People always say that, the occasional email they do occasionally look at briefly. You popping in your social media, the occasional phone call. One day,
People are watching.
not necessarily one of those things, but all of those things combined can make a difference. And that's what I love about the group. I love about Photo, and I love about having a conference. This next conference we have, as soon as it's in the diet, as soon as it's available, I'm in. And I've always wanted that to happen. I'm so pleased that Harry's got something started, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
Something.
Totally in awe. It sounded like a fantastic session, and I'd love to have been there actually for more than
There's
a few weeks.
lots to be done. There's recordings of all the speakers as well that
Yeah.
I feel Harry's going to put out in due course.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
final bit, Ian. How do people get hold of you? How can people get in touch? Just speak about.
If you can't get hold of me, I'm not doing my job properly. So you should be able to find me. Just look for Hatchbox Photography online. Email me. And as per Moving Memories, there's also Photo. There's also a Moving Memories support group and user group now for people that are interested in mixed reality, as they call it in America, mixed reality. But over here, augmented reality and putting some videos, connecting videos to print to sell more photos. Just look for me online. You probably should be able to find me. And if you can't, I need to work on my...
It's game over.
Yeah, exactly.
And for anyone that doesn't know, any listeners that don't know, Photo, what does it stand for?
Am I allowed to swear? I know Andy swore yesterday, didn't he? That was true.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's going to be grown ups, aren't they?
A good friend of mine told me I couldn't name it Photo, and Mofo, if you shorten it, the mother is the first word, and then there's a swear word. I was a bit bitter at one particular time when I wanted to set this up. So mother, the swear word, and then as in photo at the end. So if you know what the middle word is really, but yeah. And I thought, well, I like that. Photo sounds great. So I'll call it that. And again, this is when, one or two people were saying to me, yeah, start a little social media group. It'll be fine. I thought, she said, you can't call it that. I said, yeah, can it be fine? So there you are. And now we've got 2,500 people in the group. So if you're not a member of the social media group on Facebook called Photo, it's a community for volume photographers in sports, dance, nursery, and schools. Mainly based in the UK. That's where the most of it is. But we've got a lot of overseas photographers that have joined up. And we've got some in Australia, some South Africa, some of the people that Harry's connected to as well, and Andy and people like that. But it's a great community because we've got the same problems, whether they're in Australia or whether they're in New York or whatever. People have a very similar sort of set of issues that do crop up, and we can all help each other no matter where we are.
Love it. Fantastic, mate. Thank you very much. I'll put a couple of tags in the notes on the episode for this anyway.
It's very kind of you.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Lee, thank you to you. To be honest with you, like I say, I'm really proud that you've done this. I'm delighted because, I'm just so lazy. You're so always doing things. And that's, it's something that, I'm pleased that you're doing. I'm really, really glad. And I'll listen to every single episode. I'll be a listener to. We need to get you to have your 5 minutes of fame. So let me know when you're available. I can reverse this conversation.
No worries at all. Ian, you're a gentleman. You take care.
Take care, everyone.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the School Photo Podcast. A massive thank you to Mr. Ian Hatch for sharing his incredible journey, some top-notch insights, and of course, a few laughs along the way. If you're in school photography and you're not already following MoPhoto, the Facebook group, MoPhoto, what are you even doing? That's where it's at. That's where all the things school photography are happening. So be sure to check it out. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, tell us what you think, tell us what changes you think we need to make, or even better, get involved. Head to www.schoolphotopod.com. Leave us some information. Love to have you on as a guest. Please share this with another photographer, even if not for inspiration, just for a reminder they're not alone in this madness. Until next time, keep snapping, keep innovating, and we'll see you on the next episode. Happy days.